What's up, guys? Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys our Week 1 match in UPA-D Season 4. We are playing Venoxio and the Gurdurrians of the Galaxy, and I just realized this replay is switched around. So, I'll switch it when it comes on here. But for now, unfortunately, Veno's team is the team in front of you. What he's got there, he could have brought the Z Tapu Koko, Weavile, which I wasn't expecting, KokoLucha, Mega Garchomp, Slowbro, Shaman, Registeel, Seismitoad, Drapion, Z Salazzle, and Granbull. Only thing I wasn't expecting was the Weavile. I thought anything else was possible. Seeing the Registeel is a little bit annoying. Seeing the Shaman and the Slowbro means he definitely had both of those in mind to check Mega Swampert. Honestly, the rest of his team kind of got hard dicked by Mega Swampert, so the fact that he had to bring 2 checks for it kind of just, shows how big of a threat that my Rain actually is. If you haven't seen the team builder, you should check that out. I can't exactly remember what I'm Koba, Amoonguss, I'm like Fight Z, Torn, Iapapa, Necro, Scarf Gardevoir, Salt Vest Conkeldurr, and Occaberry Scizor. Yeah, I was a little bit scared of the Mega Chomp. I'm not really that scared of Holucha here. I'm a little bit more scared of the Koko, and I'm definitely scared of the Salazzle. I underprepped hard for the Salazzle here. I'm not sure what else I could have brought. I probably could have brought like Pelipper or actually brought the Rain, and that might have been a little bit better to get some speed control against the Salazzle. But we'll see. He's got some tech for Rain on there. In terms of that, that's kind of what I'm bringing here. So yeah, I can't remember. I believe I'm set to lead off with a Mungus. It matched up well against a Koko lead, which is the lead that I had anticipated the most. Registeel lead was also possible. I just really felt like he wasn't going to risk a Registeel lead against Torn. But we'll sort of see here. So let me just switch sides here. There we go. So I'm going to lead Amoonguss as he's going to lead Slowbro, and I was perfectly okay with this. I wasn't sure what the Slowbro lead was going to do either. Like if I had led Torn or Necro seemed like my best lead. Torn, Necro, or Scizor all seemed like really good leads for me, and so I was a little bit confused about the Slowbro lead. I'm not sure what exactly he was anticipating to come out there, but Torn can like taunt this or knock this off or anything of that nature. Basically just scout out the Slowbro set, see how defensive it is. I'm actually going to make a pretty poor play here. I'm going to go for the Toxic. It's 100% accurate Toxic. I'm not running Spore because he's got a Koko and I can't put things to sleep in that. Obviously, Spore is pretty free from Amoonguss most of the time because Amoonguss threatens out other grass types anyways, but so Shaman wasn't an issue for that, but it was more so the Koko that was a problem. Instead, I'm going to go for the Toxic as he's going to make a very safe play into the Registeel. I wasn't sure how aggressive of a player he was, but seems like he's a little bit less aggressive than I had anticipated. I thought maybe he would go for the Psychic there, as he's just going to predict my double and go for a Toxic and hit my Torn with it. I'm just going to be able to taunt him here. I want to prevent rocks. Which I successfully do, is then he switches into Koko on my raw Focus Blast hitting. So a couple things we tell about that damage. I was actually really surprised about that damage because I'm not a boosting item. I'm Z Crystal, obviously, and that did a lot more than I anticipated. So it looks to me like this is no bulk Koko naive nature, which I would imagine is like outspeeding Mega Swampert. Like it's actually not a possible roll for anything except a minus Spit F nature. So I'm fairly confident it's like naive, some sort of speed boosting naive nature. It also could be attack, like mild or something like that. It could be an attack boosting minus Spit F nature, but it's definitely a minus Spit F nature, and it's very minimal bulk, if any, based on that Focus Blast roll. So I'm just gonna yeet my Torn on out of here. I'm obviously threatened out by the Koko, and Amoonguss is a really good check to this thing. So he's gonna show the Roost. That's perfectly fine with me. Amoonguss just handles this perfectly. I was definitely anticipating like a Brave Bird Grass Knot set. Seeing the Roost tells me he's definitely is not a calm mindset. Just given the coverage options he needed to have grass coverage for Mega Swampert for sure. He needed to have electric coverage for other things on my team. I'm actually a little bit surprised that he doesn't have like Dazzling Gleam. He probably thought the rest of his team could handle Hydreigon. Or he maybe just thought that Hydreigon wasn't coming against him because of Granbull and things like that. But I definitely regret not bringing Hydreigon against the rest of the team because it would have matched up fairly decently against breaking things like the Slowbro down for me. later in the game and whatnot. But I am definitely anticipating a Brave Bird, which is exactly why I'm Koba Berry Amoonguss. The Koba Berry is not there for Hawlucha, it is there for this Koko. And so I'm just going to be able to absolutely chew this Life Orb Brave Bird. And we're just going to be able to kill this Koko off with a Sludge Bomb turn 6. So that's pretty solid. That means his Electric Terrain Setter is dead, which basically forces out his Hawlucha sooner rather than later, or he could just give up on the Hawlucha completely, not make it a win con, and rely heavily on the Salazzle. But taking out one of his offensive threats and basically paying almost nothing for it because it's my Regenerator Mon, just makes things a little bit better. He doesn't really have knockoff users on his team. I think Registeel gets it, but I could be wrong. So I'm not super concerned about not having an item or anything like that. But Hawlucha is going to come in, obviously threatens my Amoonguss out. Could have gone for a hit there, but instead I'm just going to go to the Necrozma on his Swords Dance. So that's twice now where he's threatened me out and gone for a status move. Swords Dance on the Lucha and Roost on the Koko. Things to think about later on in the game in terms of my decision-making process is that I've seen when he's going to threaten something out, he kind of makes a prediction and is willing to take the damage for doing that. Necrozma lives a hit every single time. Acrobatics is doing the most from this. Throat Chop is doing almost nothing. And so we'll be able to see here that he is actually Adamant max attack from that damage at +2, and Photon Geyser is always going to kill Hawlucha. It's a special Photon Geyser coming off of this, so a little bit sad there on that one. I'm actually a little bit sad the Acrobatics didn't do a little bit more. If he'd crit, I believe he would have put me in range of my Berry, which would have put me in a really good spot because now Salazzle's in a position to come in and just kill me. I wanted to get Rocks up. I actually clicked Earthquake there. I was running Photon Geyser and Earthquake. I was a mixed Necrozma, just because I really wanted to get rid of the Salazzle. I think Photon Geyser actually probably would have been the better play. I think I only had Earthquake on there for Registeel. And if I could have killed the Salazzle with Necrozma, I would have been put in a better spot, but unfortunately that's not what happened. Citrus Berry probably would have been a better bring over a Pinch Berry like Iapapa Berry. Then I would have been sitting at a much better amount of health. He probably would have been able to tell my spread, and he might have still killed me. I found out after the game this is a Flame Plate Salazzle, so he might have still been able to kill me with the Flame Plate boosted Fire Blast, sorry, depending on how much HP I would have been at. I was at, what was I at? 37 plus 25, 40 to 62, so I'm not actually sure on the calc on that, but I would have been at 62%. I might have been able to kill the Salazzle. It might have forced something else to come out, which would have at least given me Rocks. His removal options were Koko and Lucha, and they both died. Yeah, so I'm going to bring out the Torn, and he's going to show off the Protect here, which is clearly there to stall out something like Rain. And I also scouted a Scarfer and whatnot. So I'm going to hit the Hurricane, and then I'm going to go for the Taunt. Trying to stop the Salazzle from like sub-nasty plotting on me, but it's going to catch the Registeel coming in, so he can't set up Rocks, which is really good. I'm going to miss a Focus Blast. What I should have done there actually was just go for my Z Focus Blast, because that's going to cost me some health on the Torn, and it's going to wear out the Taunt on this Registeel, and it's going to let it set up Rocks. So that was actually kind of a big mistake. I could have got a lot more damage on this Registeel. I wouldn't have had the Z just sitting there in the back, and I wouldn't have felt really bad about doing just 20% with my Amoonguss, this Registeel with Stomping Tantrums. So I'm going to bring in my Conch here on and a Seismic Toss here. It's really no skin off my back, and I'll be able to knock off the switch, which is the Shaman. I really wanted to get rid of the Registeel's leftovers as well, but this is another lefty spawn, so it's a defensive like Leech Seeding. It's a sub-seed defensive set, clearly designed to take on things like Mega Pert. So again, my suspicion is that the Slowbro is also Fizz Def, so he brought like dual checks to Mega Swampert, considering the rest of his team just lost to it, which is super solid. I mean, it's solid. I'm getting a little bit too weakened on my Conch. I'm regretting bringing the Ice Punch here for sure. That's one thing I'm definitely regretting, is bringing Ice Punch over Mach Punch. It would be nice to have Mach Punch to clean up like the Salazzle later, or this Shaman soonish, but having it poisoned is a really solid strat. He's actually going to call my switch into the Amoonguss and Psychic. It really didn't matter. It was his best play against the Conch anyways, and it covered my Amoonguss double. Scizor might have been a little bit of a safer switch in for me, potentially get an SD off. I have no idea if this actually has HP Fire or not, but here I'm just going to go into the Scizor and the Psychic now. He's going to get the Spidef drop, which really doesn't matter, and then I'm going to be able to Bullet Punch him and kill him. So we have a nice significant advantage here, but the Salazzle's in. -1 Spit F, obviously, I'm not living the hit, but even from full, apparently I don't even live a Salazzle hit with Okaberry, so that's a little bit sad. I didn't really anticipate that. I kind of brought Oka as more of an HP Fire check or a random Flamethrower on Slowbro check. The only thing I can bring in here that actually takes a Fire Blast is Gardevoir, and I should have realized, I calced that damage, and I was like, is this modest? I wasn't entirely sure if he was actually speed creeping Heliolisk or not, so I was anticipating it to be timid, and then I thought it was modest, but it's actually Flame Plate, which is, yeah, a little bit stronger than modest in regards to everything else. So, yeah, I'm going to go for the trick here and try and catch the Registeel or the Slowbro coming in, but he's just going to go for the Protect and scout it out. You know, for all he knows, I could have just been sacking the guard, but I wasn't, and now this forces me to sack my Torn. So, that was kind of a bad play on my part. Torn was still useful to at least be able to get a Z Focus Blast off on the Registeel. I outspeed the Salazzle still with Torn, and I could have potentially, you know, cycled things in, got it more healthy, and given myself a couple chances at hitting Hurricane against this, which would have done a lot of damage, putting it in Bullet Punch range of the Scizor, which then could have won the game for me. So I think this is where I lost the game. Spoiler: I do lose. I shouldn't have said that, but yeah. Clicking Trick against the Salazzle that's shown Protect was a hard choke. What I should have done was just clicked Healing Wish and Healing Wished up my Tornadus. I would have been faster, but obviously the Salazzle would have missed the Fire Blast or whatever, and I would have had my, well, not a full health Torn, but the Toxic would have been gone on the Torn. I would have been able to bring it in to potentially defog the rocks away at the very least, or at least like trying to hit a Hurricane. You know, Hurricane into Z Focus Blast would have killed Registeel from this range, and there would have been, you know, options for me to sort of work around with that, but instead I'm going to choke there, and then instead, okay, so now I'm going to go for the Healing Wish as he's going to go for the Protect again, and I'm going to be able to just Healing Wish up my Conkeldurr, which I felt was a little bit more useful to have something to be able to take a hit from the Salazzle. Knockoff's going to do a Trillion to the Salazzle, so I'm going to catch the Slowbro coming in. It's very physically defensive, and then I'm going to go into my Amoonguss here on a Scald. Now, I talked to Veno about this play later on in the game. This is a pretty ballsy play, especially considering he got the burn. That burn actually does suck quite a lot, because I'm a mixed Amoonguss with Stomping Tantrum for the Salazzle and the Registeel. This is essentially useless to me now. It really offers me nothing in this game. So he's just going to go into Registeel on my Conk double. So I figured he was either going to double into Salazzle or the Registeel there. It didn't really make any sense for him to let his Slowbro get Toxic when it's still his best response to my Conk. Luckily for me, in my opinion, the Slowbro and the Registeel are both setup fodder. Unluckily for me, Salazzle's taking pretty much no damage from Bullet Punch without extraordinary. I need a lot of chip on it, and I'm not going to be able to get that chip. So I'm kind of just playing for differential at this point anyways. I'm going to go for the knockoff again, and we're going to catch the Slowbro. Sorry, a Drain Punch this time. Whoops. I figured it didn't really matter what the Slowbro did. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about the Scald play earlier. So he Scalded on my Conk, which was pretty dangerous. I switched out predicting the Psychic move, and I was fine with just like letting Amoonguss take damage, I guess, at the time. But yeah, if he'd Scald burnt my Guts Conk, I think the game is probably over at that point, and I just win. I outspeed Registeel. I'm almost certain I outspeed Registeel. I believe I'm running a tiny bit of speed on Conk specifically for that, but he also might be a minus speed nature on the Registeel. I'm not entirely sure about that either, but yeah, so I wanted to get my Conk burnt, but now he's probably not going to risk that Scald. The first one, especially because it burnt the Amoonguss, I was a little bit miffed about why that happened, and a little bit mad at myself for not just letting my Conk stay in. If I've Guts burnt, I can Oko the Salazzle with knockoff most of the time. It's like a 93% chance to Oko. And so even if I don't have priority, I can put it in range of Bullet Punch from Scizor, and then I can just win the game with Scizor. You know, even if I have to just sit in front of the Registeel roosting on all of his Seismic Tosses, my Scizor can 1v1 it eventually with SD Bug Bite. I don't have to worry about the Registeel necessarily being able to knock me out unless he's got random HP Fire Tech on it. And even then, you know, he's probably HP firing and doing like 20 or 30% or something like that. I've got a lot of bulk on my Scizor and a lot less attack investment. So, you know, all in all, I'm just going to try and 1v1 the Slowbro with my Conk. He's going to crit me with the Psychic, which is actually going to matter a little bit more. I wanted... And then he's going to Scald, and I'm not going to get burnt. It really didn't matter. You know, if he Scalded and burned me there, I just die. But, yeah, we'll knock out the Slowbro with Drain Punch, and then Salazzle is just going to be able to clean up my team here. With all of the Fire Blasts, he's going to hit every single Fire Blast this game. So that's 4. And he's going to hit 5 Fire Blasts, which is, irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. I did miss the 1 Focus Blast, but not a bunch of hacks. I should have just clicked Z Focus Blast anyways that turn. So we take the 2-0 loss. A little bit hard to swallow because I do feel like I had this game in my control at quite a few points, especially when I was up 5-4, and then sort of just choked my game away with the Gardevoir by clicking Trick. I think that was a ballsy prediction on my part, and it didn't really need to happen. I wanted to cripple the Slowbro or the Registeel, but I should have identified that they were both kind of setup fodder for Scissor with or without a Scarf, and Healing, which was a lot more valuable to my team at that stage than trying to cripple a wall. Especially when I still had Conk and Scissor in the back. So it was bad. It was a bad read on my part, and it ended up costing me the game. Yeah, so that's going to be for me. GG to Veno. He played pretty well. I got a lot of his sets from team building correct. The Slowbro, the Shaman, I got almost exactly correct in terms of what I was expecting. Yeah, I was expecting KokoLucha. I was definitely expecting Brave Bird Koko. Life Orb, maybe not so much. I don't know about his other moves there. Salazzle threw me off. I shouldn't have I shouldn't have underprepped for the Salazzle as much as I did. I didn't identify it as big of a threat as something like a Drapion. I thought he would bring the Drapion over the Salazzle potentially, but I wasn't entirely sure how mixed his Koko would be and things like that. So yeah, that's week 1. Next week we take on DS and the Birmingham Vulpix. We were supposed to play him in WPL last season, and then he ended up dropping the league, and we played the replacement in week 12, I think. TPB, I think, was his replacement. But DS has a really fun team, looks really cool. And that's about it. So that's me for me, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys for week 2 against DS and the Birmingham Vulpix.